Another top story we're watching today is the humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan and how it's continuing to grow. Even before the U.S. withdrawal, the country was already facing food shortages due to drought, the pandemic, and decades of conflict. According to the World Food Program, about 14 million people in Afghanistan are considered food insecure. And now with the Taliban back in control, the need for aid is urgent. So here to discuss this is Andrew Patterson. He is the World Food Program's Deputy Country Director for Afghanistan. He's in Kabul right now. Thank you so much for joining us, Andrew. I'd love to know, how long have you been there? Did you come in during this crisis last weekend, or have you been there for a few months? And what is it like on the ground? What are the people's greatest needs?
Thanks, Laura. I've been here for a couple of months, since about the middle of July, but we didn't expect things to go the way they have so quickly. The people out of Afghanistan are facing increased needs because of this recent conflict. As you mentioned before, we estimated 14 million people were already food insecure, and with the drought which has hit the country this year, that we were forecasting that reaching up to 20 million people that we would need to assist by the end of this year. The current situation has meant a greater number of internally displaced people around the country. We estimate around 550,000 additional people have been displaced from their homes. So we need to be able to help them, but we also need to be able to get food to those 14 to 20 million people who are already insecure.
What's the security situation like right now as you deliver food and you distribute that food? Is the Taliban allowing the WFP to continue working, or has the WFP been negotiating with the Taliban at all?
So, Laura, we've been in Afghanistan since 1963. So we have operated through multiple regimes, including the Taliban before. So we are used to dealing with whichever regime is in power to negotiate access to vulnerable people. And so now is no different. The security situation varies from place to place. Kabul is obviously an island of insecurity in the country, where some of our regions have already calmed after the takeover, and we've been able to restart operations in some of those places already.
We know that women and girls are especially vulnerable under Taliban rule. What is the WFP doing to make sure that they are not impacted?
As a humanitarian organization, as a UN organization operating on humanitarian principles, we seek unfettered access to be able to reach anybody who is vulnerable. In Afghanistan, as you point out, women and children, girls, particularly the disabled, are all particularly vulnerable. And we provide food assistance based on need, nothing to do with gender or any other status. So we seek to supply food to them, and we expect full cooperation for us to be able to meet the needs of those vulnerable people.
Let's talk about the future and how this current crisis right now has impacted what you believe to be the trajectory of the WFP in the region. Is it changed at all? Are you going to stay there, or are there plans to potentially move out?
Laura, WFP has been here since 1963. We're not leaving this week. We're not leaving next week. We're here for the people of Afghanistan. We absolutely intend to stay and deliver. And as I mentioned, 14 million already we had identified earlier. The droughts brought that up to 20 million. There are internally displaced people. Afghanistan needs the World Food Program to stay, and we are staying. To do that, we need additional resources. We estimate $200 million are needed for us to be able to continue supplying food to up to 9 million people a month by the time we get to November, because we're about to hit the lean season, and that's following a drought in Afghanistan already. Conflict only makes that worse. We need calm, we need humanitarian access, and we need resources to be able to bring the food into the country and then get it to the people.
Well, Andrew Patterson, we hear you loud and clear that additional resources are needed. If people are at home wondering what they can do to help, the World Food Program is the name of your program, and that's the website you should go to if you do want to help out in this crisis. Andrew Patterson, thank you.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you for all the people that are helping WFP carry on its work.